When it comes to college, we often get excited about achieving our academic goals and taking steps toward our future plans. We often talk about the positive nature of college, getting involved, going to class, meeting new people. But sometimes we face challenges when we enroll in college or when we are on our journey to our academic goals. Sometimes these challenges create the falling behind effect, in which we fall behind that could set us off our path in achieving our goals or getting us off our path for our academic plan. This video is going to focus on strategies that can assist you in getting you back on track to achieve your academic goals and getting you back on that plan for your specific achievements. First, one of the important things to do to get back on track is to identify the reasons you fell behind to begin with. Part of the importance of identifying the reasons you fell behind is so that we can set a plan in order to fix the issue. We have to understand the set of circumstances that led to falling behind. In some cases, you might discover that it's not so bad as you might think it appears, and so we'll talk about some of those. In other cases, there may be a larger set of circumstances in which you may need to reach out to CSN support services or academic advising to help you get back on track and plan accordingly for your future plans. I want to talk about some of the identifying causes of falling behind in college. Now, these may apply to you or they may not. You may have a completely set of different circumstances, and that's okay. But once again, the goal will be, if you've identified the reasons why you fall behind or the circumstances, asking for help and reaching out to the individuals that can assist you will be beneficial for you. The first, of course, is not having enough time. Time is, of course, very slim for all of us. We're often trying to juggle different things. That kind of ties into this next point of juggling different responsibilities. We may not have time to study or to complete assignments. For example, you may have to go to work, or your work schedule changes, or you are responsible for different members of your family, or perhaps maybe school is part of the time consumption, meaning that looking ahead that you are exhausted or you don't have enough time because you have a heavy course load, or you may have enrolled in one too many classes than you thought you can handle. Other issues could be things like procrastination. As for many people, procrastination tends to be a problem because we just either don't have a fixed schedule. For example, yes, you may have a fixed schedule online or in-person classes, but your fixed schedule doesn't happen within the work and family environment. So we push things that seemingly are less important and then put the stuff that are important front, and that leads to procrastinating to the other things that have been placed on the back burner, so to speak. Another issue, of course, is not understanding course material. So oftentimes, and especially in classes that I teach, students may not understand course material, and then they don't ask for help, and then they just withdraw, meaning they either physically withdraw from the class or they mentally withdraw from the class, and of course just stop showing up. That leads to skipping classes. Skipping classes can also be problematic and also contributes to not understanding the class material because you are either not there to receive the information or skip the lecture, or perhaps you missed out on information that was important in order to do well in certain assignments and coursework. Finally, the lack of motivation, and this is, of course, a very big one. Of course, we deal with a lot of, stressful factors, and sometimes this can affect our mental health as well. This can also then, in long term, affect lack of motivation. So we do have services that can assist that. These are things like the CAPS services, the psychological services. These can help students. So again, identifying the reason can help you point in the right direction of where to go when you need that assistance or when you have fallen behind. The next step is to determine just how far behind are you? This is the big question. Our perception can trick us sometimes because when we fall behind, it immediately feels overwhelming and that there's nothing that we can do about it, right? But if you have applied step one, where if you've identified why you are behind, then of course the next step is determine how far behind. If it's behind in a particular class, then at that point you could determine and calculate, okay, just how far behind am I? Have I missed a certain number of assignments? How many quizzes do I have left? So this is going to help to determine whether or not things are as bad as they appear. In some cases, for example, if you're not that far behind, you can work with your professor and communicate with them about some of the issues that you've identified and perhaps work with them on how you can overcome some of these issues as regards to your classwork, or if you've fallen behind your classwork. If you are far behind in the sense of your academic plan, for example, withdrawing from classes and things like that, then that takes it to the next level. You want to go to the experts to help you decide on your best course of action. So, for example, this might be having to turn to your academic advisor, right? So your advisors will be able to help you in getting you back on track, what classes you have to retake, so forth, because those are going to be important for your long-term plans. If you just give up, it becomes a much bigger hole that you dig if you don't ask for help and try to resolve this on your own. So it's important to ask the right questions, identify the issues, determine how far behind you are, so that way you can find a solution. So of course the next step would be to brainstorm some solutions. Now, again, it's very easy to get in our heads and feel very overwhelmed, especially when it keeps happening, because if we don't solve these problems, it certainly does keep happening. It will repeat itself over time. And what we don't want to happen is that you get so overwhelmed that you completely drop out of college. There are solutions, I promise you. And again, asking for help will provide that assistance to keep you on track. Now, once it's time that we do something about it, it's important to begin to physically and visually see. Grab a piece of paper and pen. Once you list out the reasons why it's been happening, you want to think about brainstorming, okay? So brainstorming some solutions to the problems you've identified. Some things to think about though here. So when you're brainstorming, you want to make sure that there are realistic things that you can do, which means that they're achievable small goals that lead to you achieving much larger goals and getting back on track. Don't think you have to happen all at once. Again, this is, if you set a plan for yourself and you've set a goal, you will achieve that goal if you are taking small steps and initiatives. It can't happen all at once, especially if you've fallen behind, and especially if falling behind seems overwhelming and there's a lot to do. Tackle it by achievable, realistic goals and taking it one step at a time. And again, turning to the people that can help you do that. What you'll want to do is to try to come up with at least 2 or 3 solutions, then choose the best and most realistic options. So, for example, let's say you've identified that you don't have enough study time and that has caused you to fall behind and getting low scores on tests and assignments, okay? Now, let's say you decide one of the ways or solutions is, how can I carve out some time? Is there ways in my life that I seemingly am spending some time on things that may not be as important? So for example, social media is one of those. It consumes our time without us realizing it. Or perhaps maybe if you take public transportation, you've identified that there is 20 to 25 minutes where you have some time where you're sitting in public transportation that you could potentially carve out for study time. Or perhaps maybe if you are a person who stays on campus for a little bit longer, or you have the ability to stay on campus a little longer, that you carve out some time to just stay 1 hour after class in the computer lab or in the library and dedicate to studying. There are solutions if you look for them. And again, as long as there are realistic options, then you'll want to, make sure that you find the ways that's going to best fit your life and your circumstances and situations. If you absolutely have no idea how to solve these solutions, again, turn to your academic advisor. Ultimately, though, what you want to remember is this: your problem is not going to resolve itself unless you take active steps to resolve it. And if you have no idea where to begin, go to either your professor or go to your academic advisor, and they will provide you with some solutions for you and work with you. So ultimately, ask for help. This is going to be the biggest component, and sometimes it's hard for us to do. I realize asking for help can seem like a big order, but honestly, if it means a lot to you to achieve your academic goals, and if this is something that really is impacting your life in a major way, asking for help is only going to assist you in overcoming some of those challenges and barriers that you might have. And again, it really just depends on what those are. But talk to your professors, talk to your academic advisor, and of course, put in the time and remain committed to getting back on track, because as I said before, only you have the ability to get this back on track and achieve your goals based off of how much time and commitment you are willing to give in supporting yourself and reaching out to those that will assist you. Finally, CSN has some services that are offered to you. You'll see QR codes there. I'll also upload this document for you to review. And again, we have everything that you need at CSN to assist you. And all of the information and definitions of things to overcome challenges are here. Some things that you might need to know as far as if you have to withdraw or audit or receive an incomplete grade or make an appeal. What does it mean when I withdraw from class, and what does that mean with GPA, and how do I repeat a course? So if this all seems overwhelming, again, it can be. Ask your academic advisor. They are there to assist you. Make an appointment, do what you need to do, or ask any professor or ask anyone that will help point you in the right direction. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out either to your professor, me, or your advisor.